I'd like to start our Monday, December 10, 2000, that's not right, our Monday, December 13, 2021 Oakwood City Council meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me with the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Duncan?
Here.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Here.
Mr. Stevens?
Here.
Mrs. Hilton?
Here.
Mrs. Turbin?
Here.
Thank you. And do we have a report on the minutes of our November 1 regular session, work session, and executive session, and our November 15 work session? Councilmember Hilton.
Yes, Your Honor. I've reviewed with council the minutes from those 4 meetings and found them to be correct and complete, and therefore I move that they be adopted as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So ordered. This is an exciting night tonight in Oakwood. We have 2 public safety officers, of which I'm honored to give the oath of office to. The first one, Public Safety Officer Ross Green, and Ross is here tonight with his significant other, Jill Kisberth, and also his father, Doug Green, and his mother, Julie Green. So what we'll do is we'll have Ross come down to the front here along with Chief Hill. I will administer the oath of office, and then Chief Hill also has some comments regarding Ross. Would you like your parents and significant other to join us? I think that would be appropriate. Come on up. We want you to be on Channel 6. Mom, you pulling rank here? Or okay. Are you ready? If you want to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
and that I will obey the laws thereof,
and that I will obey the laws thereof,
and that I will, in all respects, uphold and enforce the provisions of the Charter and ordinances of this city, and will faithfully discharge the duties of Public Safety Officer upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Just a couple of comments here. We're swearing in 2 new public safety officers. One of them is for the upcoming pending retirement of Captain Jones, and the other one was the sudden passing of Jesse Schaffer, is where our openings came from. And today, as a public safety profession as a whole throughout the country, we're struggling to get applicants as a whole. But what I can tell you is we're so fortunate here in the city of Oakwood with the talent that we continue to recruit and hire. And I'm going to read a little bit about Ross's background, and you'll hear why we're so fortunate. Officer Green began his public safety career as a part-time firefighter paramedic in the fall of 2016 with the City of Oxford and the City of Fairfield Fire Departments. In April of 2017, Ross accepted a full-time position with the Middletown Division of Fire. While at Middletown, Ross served as a firefighter paramedic and a fire safety inspector. Ross is also certified as a fire and explosive investigator, hazmat technician, and a certified tactical combat casualty care medic. Recognizing where Oakwood is where he wanted to spend his career, in an effort to make himself more attractive for the position, Ross, on his own time and his own dime, while as a full-time firefighter with the city of Middletown, put himself through the police academy. I believe it was 26 trades. 26 trades, which means he didn't have a day off for about 7 consecutive months. This feat truly shows Ross's dedication and desire to work for the city of Oakwood. Upon completion of the police academy, in May of 2019, Ross graduated, Ross was shortly thereafter hired as a reserve police officer with the city of Middletown. While serving in this capacity, Ross was also an active member of their SWAT team as well. Ross graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in history with a minor in naval science from Miami University. Ross also has served in the United States Navy and was a member of the Basic Underwater Demolition Shield Training, or BUDS class 303. Ross is currently completing his FTO program, and hopefully that will be wrapped up next month. So please join me again in welcoming Ross to the
That was great, and pretty impressive. So we want to do the next PSO now. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the force. Our next officer is Matt Staley, and accompanying Matt tonight is his wife Abby Staley and his daughter Averly Staley and father Alan Staley and mother Sherry Staley. Would you like to come up here and join Matt? Okay.
No guarantee.
No guarantees. All right. This looks like a front page picture getting ready to come up here. Okay. So if you would raise your right hand, Matt, and repeat after me. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
and I will obey the laws thereof,
and I will obey the laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
uphold and enforce
uphold and enforce
the provisions of the Charter
the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of this city,
and the ordinances of this city,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of public safety officer
the duties of public safety officer
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thanks again, Mayor. Yeah, exactly. Just a few words about Matt here as we welcome Matt to the department, about Matt's background. Once again, we're very fortunate, another triple certified public safety officer that we're hiring in, and a very impressive background prior to his arrival here in Oakwood. Matt began his career in public safety as a part-time firefighter EMT in 2009 with the Bellbrook Fire Department. In 2014, Matt accepted a full-time position with the Xenia Fire Division. While at Xenia, Matt served as a firefighter, paramedic, fire safety inspector, continuing education instructor, and fire instructor. Matt also possesses numerous professional certifications related to the fire service. However, in December of 2016, Matt made a career change. He resigned from the Xenia Fire Department and accepted a full-time position with the Xenia Police Department. Subsequently, Matt attended the Police Academy at the Greene County Career Center and served the city of Xenia as a police officer for the next 18 months. In June of 2018, Matt made the difficult decision to leave the police department and return back to the fire service, working for the Xenia Fire Division. Even after returning to the fire service, Matt continued his law enforcement career in a part-time capacity, most recently with the Greene County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Fisher, who I know swore Matt in, recently passed, so our thoughts are with our Greene County family over there. Matt's work history and commitment to the public safety profession is clearly demonstrated by his career path. Given Matt's background, training, and experience in all three public safety disciplines, Oakwood Public Safety Department is a natural fit for Matt. Matt is also currently completing his field training program and will be released next month as well to work on his own. So please join me in welcoming Matt to the Oakwood Public Safety. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Add it down.
I have a couple of other status reports I'd like to let the community know about this evening. The 8 suburban cities south of Dayton have something called the Tactical Crime Suppression Unit, TCSU, and all of there's members from each of the 8 public safety departments that serve on that group, and they work in tandem to do things that are a little above ordinary and above and beyond what a normal public safety department would do. And they have an annual awards group. Last year, that was not, they were unable to have that because of COVID. But I'm proud to report that they had their annual awards meeting this year, and they gave an award for 2000, and it was Captain Mike Jones and Detective Casey Ballinger. They received the 2020 award, and that was for their involvement in the successful intervention of a 15-year-old suicidal subject. You may recall that the incident occurred in northern Ohio, and Casey Ballinger immediately went to work through internet and other means to try to figure out who this person was. They were able to locate the child, transported him to an appropriate medical facility, and he got the treatment that he was very much in need of. And so congratulations again. We honored them, last year about that, and I wanted to restate that again for the record tonight. And then in 2021, the City of Oakwood won the TCSU award again. And that was for Officer Ryan Wells, and he received the award for his handling of a call involving 2 developmentally disabled young adults. And you recall Madeline Isley spoke about Officer Wells responding to this call, where the 2 young adults were knocking on doors asking for food and water here in the City of Oakwood. Officer Wells learned that both individuals had been abandoned and had no place to go. After some investigation, Officer Wells made contact with the Montgomery County Board of Developmental Disabilities Services and ensured both individuals received swift support in the form of emergency housing as well as assistance to resettle them permanently in a safe environment. And so congratulations to Officer Ryan Wells for his efforts on behalf of our fine city. And as you know, we have a Citizens Police Academy where about a dozen residents each year participate in a class to learn a little bit more about what a public safety officer in Oakwood does, because again, they're cross-trained in both police, fire, and EMS. And we got a letter complimenting Officer Glenn Evans. This person went on the Citizens Ride-Along. So one of the parts that's the fun part of being in the Citizens Police Academy is you get to ride around in the police car and figure out what they do all day. And it's pretty interesting, and it changes every day. But he wrote, Officer Evans, in my opinion, is an asset to the department and our community, given his training ability on proper police procedures. I will tell you I was impressed by his handling of a situation that involved transporting an individual to Centerville Police due to a traffic stop in Oakwood that came back with an outstanding warrant for an arrest. It involved a young woman who appeared to be somewhat agitated over her situation. Officer Evans made sure that he listened carefully to the young woman as he asked questions and thoroughly explained the procedures to her in a calming manner. Once we arrived in Centerville and the exchange was happening, I overheard the young woman thank Officer Evans for being kind to her. If Officer Evans' training procedures are reflected throughout the department, then I believe that the Oakwood Public Safety Department is on the right track and the city of Oakwood is in great hands. And I was going to tell your two new recruits to remember Caton, but I didn't want to spill the beans. They're gone now, so, okay. And then I have one more, and this one is commending Officer Greg Ortell. And both of these incidents happened last month. And this one, my wife was shopping at Dorothy Lane Market in Oakwood. As she was finishing up her shopping, a man rushed in, stole her purse, and ran out of the store. Needless to say, this was a very shocking event for her. A call was made to the Oakwood police, and Officer Greg Ortell rushed to Dorothy Lane to investigate. My wife and I met with Officer Ortell, along with Mr. Drew Post, the store manager. We gave a detailed report of the incident and reviewed the surveillance videos with them. Officer Ortell was outstanding. He was professional and detailed as he went through the specifics of the incident. Most importantly, he was very calm and reassuring to my wife, who was understandably shaken. By his calm demeanor and professionalism, he eased her mind, and she felt assured that he would do everything possible to apprehend the robber. Fortunately, her purse was able to be located by Officer Ortell late that evening. The robber had stolen her cash and credit card, but everything else was found, including her phone, driver's license, and keys. It turned out to be a good night for us. So congratulations to Officer Ortell. And then my last report, this came from Dan Leeper, the Assistant Special Agent in charge from the Cincinnati Field Office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And he says, and this was sent to Chief Hill, I just wanted to drop you a note to thank you for Chuck Balage's outstanding work in the Nasser Alma-Dajoy case. During his assignment with the Joint Terrorism Task Force, he was a co-case agent and instrumental part of the investigation of Alma-Dajoy. As you know, Alma-Dajoy was arrested in 2018 as he attempted to travel to Afghanistan to join ISIS-K. The investigation was dynamic and involved several moving parts. Chuck's dedication and professionalism were critical to the success of the case and a major part of why Alma-Dajoy felt compelled to plead guilty last month to such a significant charge on the eve of the trial. As always, thank you for your partnership. So that just goes to show you, between the two folks we just met today in person and just these other 4 or 5 that had these favorable reports, you know, what a first-class professional organization you run here at Chief Hill. And I wanted to thank you that. I have one more status report. Over the last week, a series of stickers were found posted to street signs and street posts in the Schroyer Road right-of-way along our shared border with Kettering and Dayton. Not only did these stickers deface public property, they also included hate messages, something that our city will not tolerate. The stickers included a QR code that links to a website for an organization that is not in our area. It is likely that the stickers were posted by someone passing through and have been posted in other communities besides Oakwood as well. Immediately upon learning of this incident, our Oakwood Public Works Department removed the stickers. On December 9, our Oakwood Public Safety Department issued a press release to the Oakwood Register announcing the incident and requesting assistance from anyone who may have information that could help us identify and prosecute the responsible subject or subjects. At this point, we do not know who placed these stickers. That said, through the excellent work of our Oakwood Public Safety Department, we have a strong record of finding and prosecuting those who commit criminal acts in Oakwood. I would like to ask Chief Hill to say a few words about this incident and any actions we are taking to address it. If you'd like to come back up to the podium, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, good evening, Council. You know, as calendar year 2022 is upon us, it's unfortunate that as we gather here tonight, this is what we're having a conversation about. Messages like this not only have no place in Oakwood, they have no place in society. But unfortunately, that's not our reality. And as we began an investigation on this case last week, one of the things that we quickly learned is we didn't have a lot of information to go on. And that's why we put out a press release seeking the community's help and assistance. And if history shows us one thing, what it shows us is the vast majority of criminal incidents that occur within this community are committed by individuals who do not reside in this community. Many of them are passing through. Mayor, as you alluded in your comments, most likely whoever placed these stickers on public right-of-way signs were merely passing through, and now we're left here to discuss and to follow up on the incident when most likely the perpetrators are long gone from our community. So what do we need as a law enforcement agency to go forward? We need the community's assistance. And what I'm asking for is if anybody's out there watching today that either lives along Schroyer Road or knows somebody who lives along Schroyer Road that has exterior cameras, whether you know whether or not if they have any kind of rings camera or surveillance cameras, reach out to them, ask them, and from Saturday, December 4th through Thursday, December 9th, we ask to check your cameras. If you see any type of activity, regardless of how, of whether you think it would be worth us knowing about or not, if you see individuals walking up and down the street and you're unsure, please call us and let us know, because I think that's what we're going to need in this particular case, unless they're caught doing this in another community. We're going to need something to go off of to help lead to to locate them and their identity. So that we have been in contact with all our law enforcement partners throughout the county with regards to asking if they have similar stickers or signs placed within their communities to please reach out to us as well. And what we're looking for is we're looking for that surveillance video image of whether it actually captures them sticking the sticker to a sign, or merely an individual or two walking up and down the street. That could lead to the identity of the person. So what we're asking for is the community's help. Anybody who knows somebody along Schroyer or lives along Schroyer, please ask them if they have or they're aware of any surveillance cameras on properties that are facing Schroyer, and hopefully a lead will be generated here in the very near future that will lead to the location and the identity of the individuals responding.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that update.
Thank you.
That concludes the status report section, and we will now go to the visitor section. And I know we have one special visitor who has been here before, Madeline Isley. And Madeline, I know you would like to address council, and we welcome you.
Thank you, Mayor Duncan, members of council. It's my honor today to represent actually the Oakwood Inclusion Coalition, and I'm joined this evening by members of the leadership team. I'd like to just recognize Mayor Judy Cook, Dan Turbin, Healy Jackson, good friend Jackie Housel, Leanne Fulford, Christy Hale, and Roger Crum, all members of the Oakwood Inclusion Coalition leadership team. We're here to thank you, first of all, and thank Chief Hill for your responsiveness to these reports, which clearly we all find very disturbing. That kind of expression is not welcome in our community, and your responsive actions demonstrate that we will not tolerate that in this community. There is so much more, on the other hand, that we do share, and that is what the Oakwood Inclusion Coalition would like to focus on, that we all appreciate the high-quality public safety forces that we have in this community, which lead to safe neighborhoods that are walkable, that are filled with friendly neighbors. We can wave at each other and talk through their truck doors as we run into each other on the streets. We so much appreciate the schools in our city, which is what has attracted many of our families to this community. We appreciate the historic housing and the diversity of architecture and housing stock in our community. And these are the attributes that bring us together as a community. That's what the Oakwood Inclusion Coalition would like to focus on first, that building that even stronger sense of community, so that when these incidents happen, such as they did over the recent days, we know how to respond as a community, and we know that that is truly not representative of us as residents of this beautiful city. So thank you again. Thank you for your statement. Thank you, Chief Hill, again for leading this effort. Thank you to the crews for their swift removal of the stickers as well. Thank you to my fellow Oakwood residents and friends for joining in this effort to, again, describe that which binds us and which does not divide us, but that makes us so proud to be residents of this beautiful city. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. They were well thought out and reasoned, and we appreciate all your support for making our city better, as well as the rest of the folks you met. Do all of you want to say anything else or not? Okay. Roger? I was told to do that. I apologize.
Now you're done.
Thank you, thank you for that. Thank you for attending. I want to say, however, that while I would really hope that we would not that we were indeed appointed by somebody external to our community, not vetted to our community, I think it's not function that such things would not work out of our. I think that conclusion is one that we hope to be true, but one that I do not think is true.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Does anyone else wish to address council at this time during our visitor section? There's somebody sitting in the very back. That's another special guest, isn't it? It's Madeline's spouse, right? You do not wish to address council. All right. There you go.
Smart man.
There you go. Okay. Well, okay. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. You're more than welcome to stay. We have some very exciting legislation, and we have one of the shortest financial reports in the history of the city. And as you know, that Norba's on vacation, and Cindy Stafford is going to give that in record time. So, again, thank you all for coming, and we appreciate your efforts, and have a good holiday season. Thank you very much. Okay. So that concludes our visitor section. We now go to legislation, and Councilmember Stevens has an ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor Duncan. An ordinance to approve current replacement pages to the Oakwood Traffic and General Offenses Codes. Each year, we pass an annual housekeeping ordinance to align our local traffic and general offenses codes with changes that have been made at the state level. This ordinance will adopt our 2021 replacement pages for the Traffic Code and the General Offenses Code, and although this is the second reading, it is being presented as an emergency ordinance so the updates can be incorporated into our codes by the beginning of 2022. Therefore, I move the council adopt this as an emergency ordinance for the reasons stated in the ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments for Councilmember Stevens? Hearing none. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Byington now has an ordinance regarding our 2022 budget. Vice Mayor Byington.
Yes, Your Honor. This is an ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Oakwood during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022. This is our annual budget ordinance, which appropriates the city's funding for 2022. This ordinance is required under Section 6.05 of the City Charter, and when adopted, provides formal authorization to the city manager to spend public dollars in providing city services. Our total city budget is divided into 5 primary parts with budgeted spending in each as follows. Our general city services amount to $14,821,750. Refuse services, $1,597,917. Water services amount to $1,394,188. Our sanitary sewer services amount to $1,825,302. And the stormwater services amount to $531,383. At this point, our finance director will make a presentation on the budget. Cindy Stafford, thank you very much for being here this evening.
Good evening, and I promise this will be brief, but I do want to say that this budget is the 20th budget submission to council by City Manager Norbert Kopsch, so just want to make sure
How
that
about that?
many members of city staff assisted in preparation of this budget, including all of the city department heads who are here this evening, as well as the finance department. The proposed budget also reflects the input and counsel from our Citizen Budget Review Committee. And as I go through the slides, if you have any questions, just stop me. Not moving on.
Now try.
There it goes. Right. So the city's proposed budget for all funds totals $20.1 million. This excludes all of the interfund transfers, but that's the total. So that's a bottom line, as well as the bottom line for the year is there are no income taxes in the 2022 budget, no property tax increases, no increase in fees related to refuse, water, sanitary sewer, or stormwater. And these next 5 slides have quite a few numbers on them, but I'm going to concentrate on that bottom line number, the one that shows the estimated revenues versus the proposed appropriation. So the first slide you see up there is general city services. General city services includes everything except refuse, water, sanitary sewer, stormwater. So it is safety, it's leisure, it's streets, it's admin, it's court, it's finance. So it's everything but those. The slide shows that we anticipate a balanced budget in general city services for 2022. Revenues, estimated revenues are $831,000, $245,000 greater than our proposed appropriation. Now the revenue number does include about $468,030 that we expect to receive in 2022 from the American Rescue Plan Act. Those monies themselves are very restrictive in what we can use those for, and even without those monies, the anticipated revenues over proposed appropriation is greater by $363,215. So again, we show a balanced budget. The general city services does include $1,585,250,000 worth of capital appropriations for 2022. Our refuse fund We operate as a standalone enterprise, similar to the way water, sanitary sewer, and stormwater does. That being said, the intention is that all refuse expenses are paid through user fees. The 2022 budget anticipates appropriations of $219,317 greater than estimated revenues. The budget does include $196,000 of capital expenditures. Our water fund, our public water system, is in full compliance with the Ohio EPA and produces nearly 100% of the water used by our residents. We have the second lowest water rates of the 66 Miami Valley jurisdictions that we survey each year. The 2022 budget includes $141,500 of capital expenditures and anticipates greater proposed appropriations of $184,688 than estimated revenues. We expect to maintain our funds in the water utility at slightly more than $1 million. And even with spending a little less than $185,000 over our estimated revenues, we still expect to end 2022 above $1 million. And we feel that that's enough to cover any potential expenses in the water department. The 2022 sanitary sewer funds includes the costs of the Oakwood sewer maintenance personnel, underground sewer infrastructure, and outside sewer and wastewater treatment services, for which we contract with Montgomery County and the City of Dayton. 60% of our proposed appropriation for 2022 is the estimated outside sewer and water treatment costs that we anticipate for 2022. We do anticipate estimated revenues to be slightly more than our proposed appropriation. The appropriation includes $150,000 worth of capital expenditures. And finally, our stormwater fund. Our stormwater funds proposed appropriations are greater than our estimated revenues by $65,148. This budget does include $205,000 of capital expenditures. We established the stormwater fund in 2013 and are slowly building that fund balances to $1 million while maintaining the capital equipment and infrastructure associated with our stormwater service. So this fund is really a work in process, and we will work to building that one. This next slide really summarizes the 5 previous slides. And each year we make investments in our public infrastructure and replacement of capital equipment. Those capital expenditures really do have a significant impact on the smaller funds, refuse, water, sanitary sewer, and stormwater, and on those funds' ending fund balances. With those investments, though, we are able to provide the services that our residents expect. Staff believes our 2022 budget appropriates the resources needed to continue our excellent services and to our residents while maintaining sufficient future fund balances. And finally, our 35-member Citizens Budget Review Committee met 3 times during 2021. At our last meeting on December 7th, 2021, the members present unanimously approved the 2022 budget presented to Council this evening. That's it. Any questions?
Any questions? I want to re-emphasize the fact that we are the second lowest in the area on water rates. So everyone likes to say that our taxes are too high, but your water rates are also part of the community ambiance, I guess. Yes, quality of life, and we are the second lowest, and it's because of the foresight, I think, of David Fells, who created our own internal water distribution system way back in the 1960s, I believe. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, as Cindy mentioned, we do have a Citizens Budget Review Committee that includes the 35 members that are equally represented from our 7 voting districts. I will commend them. As Cindy mentioned, we had 3 meetings with them. This is the abbreviated version. They sat through the the not abbreviated version, where we get into the weeds. We talk about all the individual components of the budget, the programs that we're looking at doing, the capital equipment costs that we have, and those type of things. They spend a lot of time reviewing this information. Cindy and her staff do a fantastic job of framing it all so that it's easily comprehended. And as was mentioned at our last meeting of the Budget Review Committee, it was approved by that group or endorsed to be brought forth to council. Usually we have Dave Dickerson and Bill Frappel, the co-chairs of that group, come and speak to us and basically just tell us that they've endorsed it. The mayor and I decided this time that we would give them the night off, but they did endorse this budget, and so I would make the motion that under section 3.04 of the city charter that this ordinance take effect upon its passage this evening, and that I move that we waive a second reading and adopt this ordinance tonight.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any other questions for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
Thank you. And then I think you have a couple of other
One more,
ordinances.
yes. This is the first is an ordinance to repeal ordinance number 4898 and establish an amended personnel schedule dated December 13th, 2021, and to declare that an emergency. This is an ordinance to update the city's personnel schedule, and for all non-bargaining unit employees except temporary seasonal employees, the updated schedule authorizes pay increases of 2.95% in 2022. These are responsible increases for our non-union employees that are consistent with the raises authorized by current collective bargaining agreements for union employees. Now, the pay for our temporary seasonal employees have also been increased to ensure that these positions remain competitive in the job market. This ordinance is being introduced as an emergency measure to ensure that it takes effect as of the first pay period of 2022, which begins on December 20th, 2021. So I move that council adopt this ordinance tonight as an emergency measure for the reasons that I stated above.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
The next ordinance is an ordinance to set the maximum compensation of the Oakwood Municipal Court Clerk, Deputy Clerk of Courts, and Bailiff, and to declare this an emergency as well. By law, the Oakwood Municipal Judge determines the actual salary for each court employee, but City Council is responsible for setting the maximum amount to be paid for each job classification within the court. This ordinance will increase the maximum compensation for all court employee job classifications by 2.95%, consistent with the increases for union and non-bargaining unit employees. I move that council adopt this as an emergency ordinance so that these pay increases will be effective consistent with the timing of pay increases being given to office and management staff.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
I believe you have one more.
Yes, one more, and this one, almost all the facts are in the actual title of the ordinance. This is an ordinance to establish an amendment to the organization and staffing schedules for the purpose of changing the classifications of part-time receptionist to receptionist/clerk, creating the classification of staff engineer, water and sewer technician, and part-time laborer, drop the number of authorized positions for the maintenance worker position from 5 to 4, and amending the number of authorized positions for the part-time city grounds maintenance classification, and clarifying titles for other classifications and declaring this an emergency. Basically, this is just an ordinance to update our organizational and staffing schedules so that it reflects the current staffing needs that we have as well as the employees that we have. So I move that council adopt this ordinance tonight as an emergency measure for the reasons stated in the ordinance.
May I have a second?
I second.
Any questions for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our legislation this evening. We have no staff report this evening, even though every one of our excellent staff people are here in the audience. So I want to, at this time, thank every one of you for your service. You guys have gone above and beyond the call of duty over the last 2 years with COVID, and there's no question that one of the reasons that we were named the best city in Ohio to live in is because of the efforts of every one of you folks. So we appreciate that, and that's on behalf of all of council. We do have another Oakwood moment tonight, and we would like you to come forward and address the Oakwood moment because it's a really cool one.
May I introduce
Oh,
our
absolutely.
speaker?
I'm sorry, Councilmember Turbin. Please do.
It is my pleasure to introduce Deborah Edwards. She is the incoming president for the Oakwood Historical Society, and I'm looking forward to a very, very good year. And I also wanted her today to talk about the home tour because she was the tour coordinator, and she deserves the right to talk about it. So, Deborah.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council and City staff. On Saturday, December 4th, the Oakwood Historical Society held its third annual holiday home tour. This event is proving to be a really popular event, and it continues to be a sellout every year. We had over 460 guests, plus about 50 volunteers, tour 5 historic homes, and you're going to see them up here. Beautiful homes in the Shantz Historic District, plus the Frederick Patterson home of the Lutheran Church of Our Savior. We also held a small gathering there in a reception area afterwards that also proved to be very successful. We would like to thank the homeowners, the church, and all the volunteers for making this such a success and bringing our community together just in time for the holidays. I also want to give a shout out to the safety department for putting up all the no parking signs. And I want to give a really special thank you to the leaf collectors who were there at the last
important.
minute on Shantz Avenue, getting up all the leaves so 500 people could basically walk down there, and I probably shouldn't have, but I made one of them promise to come back and do more the next morning, and he did. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you
you.
very much. That was an outstanding report, and Councilmember Turbin, you've done a good job with the Historical Society. We appreciate all of your efforts over the past, how many years? 10?
10.
10,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Amazing.
And congratulations to you for taking over, and we look forward to more good things from the Oakwood Historical Society.
Definitely.
Great. Thanks, Deborah.
All right. We have no city manager here. He's on vacation. Carol Collins is acting in his stead. Carol, do you have any report?
Well, I would like to wish the staff for the city a very happy holiday season, as well as the residents of Oakwood, and also thank the Oakwood Beautification Committee as well as Oakwood Rotary for making last night the Holiday of Lights just a magical, great event for the community. And that's it. Hope everybody has happy holidays.
Thank you very much, Carol, for your comments. It is now time for council comments. Councilmember Turbin.
Well, I second that. Happy holidays. Be safe, be well, and enjoy.
Councilmember Hilton.
Yes, Your Honor. I wanted to congratulate Carol Collins and staff for not only the Holiday of Lights, but the holiday celebration at Schaefer Park, which somehow felt like the best ever last night. It was just beautiful weather, and you guys were so organized, and there was a Santa. I thought I knew him, but I don't think I do. And it was just
Everybody
wonderful.
knows Santa.
And I've run into a bunch of people today, just my normal Monday stuff, and they said that was just fantastic. So congratulations.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevens.
I'd just like to congratulate our newest PSOs, Green and Staley, and welcome them to our impressive public safety department and, of course, our city. It's one thing that's prevalent in our city is that our officers are noticed in our community. You get to know them. whether as a resident or as a PSO, everybody has different personalities, but ours are, we have some that are more outgoing than others, both residents and PSOs, but it's fine. Everybody's friendly and talks, and I think it's just wonderful that over the years you get to know, the PSOs, and from hearing their backgrounds, it sounds like they're going to do a wonderful job for our city. And then, of course, I would like to wish all the residents of our wonderful city happy holidays and stay safe.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Byington.
The great thing about being in this position, everybody says all my stuff for me, so I'll just say ditto to all that stuff. I'll also mention that this coming Friday, December 17th, is the 118th anniversary of the first flight of the Wright brothers. Orville and Wilbur took flight at 10:35 a.m. on December 17th, 1903, in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The base where I work has done a celebration of the first flight since 1978. It will be at the Wright Memorial. It's closed to the general public because of COVID, unfortunately. But if you happen to be in that area and you look up at 10:35 a.m. directly, we have a C-130 Hercules flying over from Dyes Air Force Base in Texas. The crew is here currently doing aeromedical evacuation drills, but they have agreed to do the flyover directly at 10:35. So the Wright brothers are an important component of not only the city of Oakwood, the Dayton region, and the history of the Air Force. So be thinking about them on Friday. That's all I have.
Thank you. There's some people I want to recognize here as we come to the end of the year. There was a really nice article in the Dayton Daily News last week about Jeff Ireland. He was nominated as the Dayton Daily News Community Gem. Jeff was the mayor when I moved here in 1989. He served as Oakwood's mayor for 10 years. When he was first elected, he was 29 years old. But he, as many of you know, he's an attorney. In his nomination speech or recommendation to the Dayton Daily News, he said, he's about 66 years old, he looks like he's 55 years old, and he acts like he's 35 years old. He has more energy than anyone I know. And Jeff, in reflecting on his service as Oakwood mayor, he said that this opened me up to a lot of things that were going on in Montgomery County and the city of Dayton. And so he's been an attorney in downtown Dayton pretty much his whole career, and his involvement got him involved in several community boards such as the RTA, Planned Parenthood, and the Dayton Opera, and the Salvation Army. But more recently, he was one of the key people to raise money for the Levitt Pavilion downtown. They raised over $5 million to make the dream of the Levitt Pavilion a reality. And he said his interest in public service is driven by his passion for each organization's goal and purpose. I've always felt, and I've told people, don't just get involved for the sake of getting involved. Only get involved in things that you're passionate about. Because if you're not passionate about it, people will not see that. So congratulations to you, Jeff, former Oakwood resident. He's now living just across the border. So, but then also we have 3 other mayors whose term expires here at the end of the year, and they're all in communities adjacent to us. Mayor Nan Whaley completes her 8 years of service as the mayor of the city of Dayton. Elaine Allison finishes 11 years of service serving the city of Moraine, and Don Patterson is completing his 16th year of service as the mayor of Kettering, and that includes another 8 years when he was on council. So Mayor Patterson is going to be retiring after 24 years of service to the city of Kettering. All 3 of these, as we've said here on our council pretty much consistently as long as I've been the mayor, it's really not about politics, it's about community service. And I think all 3 of those folks, Mayor Whaley, Mayor Allison, and Mayor Patterson, clearly I think would agree with our sentiments. It's about serving, and I think there's no question that all three of them were very passionate about their community. So again, I want to congratulate them as the clock turns, and I'll try to live up to their standards. That concludes our regular meeting for December 13. I'm going to gavel it closed and then immediately open up our Community Improvement Organization Annual Trustee and Organization Meeting. This will take all of about 45 seconds. Okay. Call to order for the Community Improvement Corporation Annual Trustee and Organization Meeting. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Byington?
Here.
Mr. Stevens?
Here.
Mrs. Hilton?
Here.
Mrs. Turbin?
Here?
And do we have minutes for the prior year?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes for the prior year?
Yes, Your Honor, I've reviewed the minutes and found them to be complete and correct, and I move that they be adopted as written.
Okay. The only item of business is we have a resolution 21-1, which is adopting administrative policies and procedures, and essentially this is a housekeeping matter that says if we ever do anything in this community corporation, and we haven't done anything in it in the 18 years I've been mayor, but if we do something, it's subject to the public records law. So I would make a motion that we approve this resolution, and do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please, Lori.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Yes.
And with that, the community...
actually-
we have one
We have
more.
to elect officers, too.
Oh, that's right.
Since there's been no change, okay, well, I will make a motion that we approve the officers of the Community Improvement Corporation. That currently exists. They retain the same slate. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other questions? We'll do go ahead.
Did we happen to have a second on the minutes? I know that Mrs. Hilton made the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve did.
Was it, okay. Just wanted
Maybe
to
this is
make
going to
sure.
last more than 45 seconds, isn't it? Okay.
Stop it. I love these meetings. Keep it going. Keep asking questions.
All right. Is everyone in favor of everything that we need to do for our Community Improvement Corporation?
I am.
They made us, the state auditor wants us to do this, and I told them at the time, we have not done a single thing in this Community Improvement Corporation for 18 years at least, and probably from the history of it, but they still wanted us to approve this resolution. So I don't spend a lot of time on our Community Improvement Corporation. That's because our community doesn't need improvement. And with that, we're adjourned.